Hello, you wonderful people. Welcome to Freakquels for real.
Nice.
I'm your host, EJ Leeson, and with me today is my wonderful, talented co-host, Rory Colarossi. How is it going?
It's going pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually really excited. I brought a guest in today. It's our friend Zane, but today is June 7th, 2023.
Yeah.
And there's this thick cloud of smoke outside from the Canadian fires.
Yeah.
So our friend Zane died in the parking lot.
Yeah, he could not.
So here's the thing, though. You'd think that's what I would remember Zane for.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think I would remember him in the parking lot, clawing at his throat, screaming or choking his words out. Why aren't you helping me? Why are you just standing there and watching this? But what I'll actually remember him for is his love for Fright Night.
Yeah. Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Zane. And also with us is no stranger to the show, our producer, Vince. How's it going, buddy?
Everything's good. Kids are getting out of school. Pool's open, so whenever you're ready, bring your Speedo and hop on in.
Perfect. I'm glad that you know that my choice wear for swimwear.
Well, that's what you wore last week at the podcast.
I just wear it.
It's usually your birthday suit, but with the kids, finally.
How about you? Anything new and relevant happen?
Well, you go first, because I think I do have a little bit of a story to tell.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, EJ and I both attended the Philadelphia Fan Expo.
Yes.
We took different cars, Key Factor, in the
Yes, we
relaying
did.
of stores.
Yeah.
So, for myself, I had a great time. Beck and I had a lot of fun. You know, we met
Christensen.
We met Hayden Christensen, which was amazing.
Yeah. Sam Raimi.
We met Sam Raimi, Dante Bosco. If you're any Avatar fans out there,
Or Hook. He
Or
played
Hook.
Rufio. Yeah.
met Peter Weller from RoboCop.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Which was hilarious because we also went to his Q&A.
Yeah.
There would be these people asking questions, and they were those people who just wanted to literally hear themselves ask a question. Mr. Weller, who do you think would win in a fight, RoboCop or the Terminator? And he's just like, yeah, I really don't care about any of that. Yeah,
Next question.
Yeah, it was weird because
Well,
I thought,
shit.
I couldn't stop laughing because the first bunch of questions that were asked, he was just kind of making fun of people. So EJ, tell us about your experience at Fan Expo.
Not as smooth.
Was
a
it
lot
a
of hard edges.
Was it a smashingly good time?
It was a smashingly great time. I did have a blip of a thing that happened where I got into a car accident, and like a good neighbor, State Farm was there.
So when we ran into each other at the expo, and you were telling us about what happened.
The car accident? Yeah.
Yeah, what I really wanted to do. See, EJ and I would say, very early on in our friendship, bonded over the show Smallville.
Yes.
We were like hardcore Smallville fans, but mostly we were big fans of Michael Rosenbaum. One time, we actually drove to New York City together.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's right.
We tried.
I remember that.
Yeah, we tried to bombard this poor man as he was walking out of an interview.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to meet him.
No, we hit. I don't know if you remember. It was that traffic. We were stuck in traffic for like 2 hours.
Yes, and I think I was like, "Oh, whatever's happening up front can't be that important." Then we drive up. There's a car accident, and I, just blessed myself properly.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when we ran into each other, I was like, man, it'd be really cool if we were able to get, a picture.
Yeah.
But it just, because of what you had gone through,
It was crazy.
it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So Beck and I went and did a thing for you.
Oh, what?
So we went up to Mr. Michael Rosenbaum and told him about your experience
up.
and got you that.
Get out of here. That is amazing.
Read what it says.
I am to EJ. I miss you. Hope you're okay. Love ya, Michael Rosenbaum. Lex with love. That's amazing. Dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Do I have time to hug him, Vince?
There's always time for a hug.
Okay.
This is an on
Dead air.
Dead
I'll try.
hug.
I'll try and fill with talk here, but I don't have much. Oh, what a lovely embrace that is.
Thank you so much.
I'd also like to point out that EJ gives probably the best hugs.
He does. He does.
I mean, you ask anyone that's ever hugged him, they'll be like, yeah, he gives the best hugs.
It's a common thing around these parts. But what was fun though is when I met Michael Rosenbaum, I told him I was a huge fan of his podcast, which you should, if those of you listening should look up.
Oh yeah,
Inside of You. It's great.
With Michael Rosenbaum.
But I told him about it. I was like, hey, I was a huge fan of your episode that you did with Tom Holland because I love the movie Fright Night.
Yes.
Which is what we are talking about today.
Yeah. And
take it away, EJ.
Well, Michael Rosenbaum on that podcast, talked about Fright Night, and he also is a huge, huge fan of Fright Night.
This movie is super close to my heart, and it was a little difficult doing an episode about it because I love to poke fun at things. Like, when we did like our Evil Dead Rise and Scream 6, it's lots of fun to just kind of riff on things. Fright Night to me is like so close to my heart, and it's darn near perfect. So
yeah,
I'm going to do my best to not just be gushing over the film the entire time.
I know. Like you said, it's very hard to make fun of this movie because it is so, so good. And
I can make fun of it.
Oh yeah,
well, that's why you're
you
here.
probably have a good
and then there's
like fresh kind of new take on it that we probably are gonna be like, oh Vince you're ruining it for us.
Vince will point out things and then they'll just be like long uncomfortable silences.
Right.
It's just like,
man.
Also, when I watched it like right before I came here, I was saying to myself last time, like, you don't need to rewatch the movie. You've seen it a million times. You can quote it, go all the way down the line.
Yeah.
But then I woke up today and I was like, I'm off from work. Whatever, I'm going to watch it again. But I watched...
Because you wanted to, because you enjoy this movie.
Love the movie.
There you go.
But I bought the 4K a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never noticed, like, how amazing 4K can be for certain films until I watch this one.
Yeah.
Like, it is worth investing in for sure. Like the colors and everything just really pop. There's actually like a really beautiful visual style to this movie that sometimes is buried underneath like
the good storytelling and acting.
Well, that, but also just like like lower resolution releases and stuff like that. Like on VHS, it's kind of like it's a little blurry.
Yeah,
but that's how far back we go. But yeah, this was like I was watching it. I'm like, man, this is like a gorgeous looking movie. Like some of those, like even like some of the reds in this movie, like really just blow out in your face and stuff. But but I'm just gonna keep babbling about Fright Night, so we should probably
was this Automotion Plus was turned off, or what was it called?
Automotion Plus is always turned off. Okay. That would be a nightmare to watch that movie like that.
Sounds like a soap opera.
Yeah, it's gross.
I would hate that. But yeah, this movie is literally one of my favorite horror movies. One of my favorite vampire movies. I'm a big vampire
Top
fan.
10 for me.
I don't like horror movies, and I didn't love this movie, but I did enjoy it.
So you didn't love it, but why were you kissing the TV when I first came out?
He's so damn handsome.
Chris Sarandon?
Oh my God. And I love it. I see him, and I'm like, oh my, that's Six Fingers. Wasn't that Six Fingers from
Princess Bride? Yeah.
Princess Bride, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Also, one of my favorite performances of Chris Sarandon is actually Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, man. That's a great flick.
I didn't know that was him
the first time I saw it. I'm like, why do I know that beautiful face?
Oh,
my God. Jerry Dandridge.
I know. It's just insane how great he is in that movie. Wow. It's unbelievable. He was nominated, though, for an Oscar, which is like his first time doing a film. I think that was his first film. He did like theater before that. First time acting in a film, he got nominated for an Oscar. Like, it's pretty awesome.
To just show the world that yes, you can have it all.
Yeah.
He just falls backwards in good fortune. That guy.
But yeah, this movie is so good. I don't know if you guys know this, but I do have a really quick funny story that this movie literally lost an election for Herschel Walker. Did you know this?
Yes, I know this story.
Yeah. So Herschel Walker, for people who don't know, he's a former NFL player, and he was running on the Republican ticket in Georgia for the U.S. Senate. One of his final speeches right before the election, he talked about Fright Night. And this is all real. I'm not making this up. You can look it on.
Oh, you're going to elaborate on this.
Oh, yeah. So he, in the speech, talked about Fright Night. He's like, I was at home, and I was watching Fright Night. And, I thought vampires are pretty cool, but then I also saw a werewolf, and I was like, I like werewolves because they actually kill vampires, so I think I want to be a werewolf instead. So then he tried to talk about his opponent being Jerry Dandridge, basically, like a vampire. So he wanted to kill Senator Warnock because he himself feels like a werewolf. And needless to say, this metaphor, like his election, was lost on everyone.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
campaign.
Imagine like somebody in their like early 20s who were just like really into politics, just watching this and being like, what is he talking about?
What the hell is
What
he
is
talking
Fright
about?
Night?
Well, that's how everyone felt. Like people on CNN and like on Twitter, and just everybody was like, what
What is
the
he talking
hell
about?
is he talking about? Like,
I
Fright
didn't know
Night?
that guy was a vampire.
Yes. He's like, Senator, like, Warnock is a vampire, you know? So, yeah, let's get into this movie, Fright Night.
By the way,
Directed
nothing.
by Tom
I feel like we
Holland.
just peaked as
yeah.
far as this is gonna go.
Yeah, like, talking about
No way.
Herschel Walker.
We still got ways to go before we
Alright.
peak.
Okay, so this movie starts off with this amazing shot. And Amy and Charlie are heard watching a horror movie. But what I love about this is the opening shot of this neighborhood, and it's quiet. And it kind of sets the tone that the neighborhood is kind of untouched by evil, right? And then the camera like starts to pan, and we're hearing the dialogue from the movie Charlie and Amy are watching, and then it does that like Psycho thing where it goes like into the window.
Yeah.
You know, like Hitchcock,
One of many
Psycho.
Hitchcock references
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yes.
That's a crane shot that
Yeah.
starts out and then they zoom.
You
And
might
then they
you
go.
might even refer to it as a Marion Crane shot. Ooh,
Ooh, that's a Psycho reference.
there you go, guys. I'm on my game tonight.
And but yeah, the shot moves like throughout the neighborhood, and it's so like peace and quiet. And I love it comes back to that, and I have it later in my notes. But like that shot sets up so much, and that's why Tom Holland's such a great director, because it's telling us like, here's this like quiet neighborhood, this cute couple, and they're kissing in bed, and you know what I mean. And it's just like. It
Could be any story
like
in the
everyday life.
neighborhood and
Yeah, any neighborhood, you know. So it.
Oh, and also just the right before it even gets into that shot,
Yeah.
there's just that shot of the full moon, and
Yes.
you hear like the wolf howl. I'm like, we know what this movie is.
Yeah.
It just creates like a perfect mood.
Yeah, and so Charlie and Amy are getting a little like hot and heavy with the kissing and stuff.
On the floor.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Are they on the floor because it's like you don't want your mom to walk in and see you on the bed?
And it gives you a little more time to,
Yeah, it's just. Like I was
Just
putting
a
myself
couple,
back into the head of a
couple
teenager.
more seconds.
It's like a shield. Like the bed is the shield.
Yeah, like it's
oh,
actually
sorry,
like
Mom, we're down here. Amy dropped a pencil.
it's
you
actually
know?
like a good like teenager observation where it's like
Yeah.
they don't want us on the bed, but if we make out on the floor,
This
it's
is
a
weird.
little
Yeah.
less cardinal.
That is so true. That like again, Tom
Cardinal.
Holland's
Cardinal.
attention to like
can't talk
detail throughout this whole movie is so incredible, and I try to touch on it here and there, but I mostly try to in my notes like stick to the story. But sometimes I might veer off on his directing. But yeah, no, he does such a great job with this. But yeah, they're getting hot and heavy and starting to kiss, and Amy is like, whoa, 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 I'm gonna slow down, right? And then Charlie's like, I'm sorry. Of course, yeah, let's slow down a little bit, right? And then she's like, you know what? Forget that. Let's go for it, right? So she sits on the bed and she's like undressing a little bit, but Charlie kind of sees his new neighbor, and they're walking in with what looks like a coffin. So he's just like, huh? And he's so distracted. Amy's like, come on, Charlie, what are we doing, right? And then eventually she gets mad and she storms out of the room. But when she like runs downstairs, the mom is like, you know, talking to them, and this is when we first meet Mrs. Brewster, who I feel like she's such
She's like
a
a
great
cool mom.
Yeah, she's like a really cool mom, but
Because she's
also,
totally like into the idea of them hooking up, which is weird.
Yeah,
It's like, thanks for helping him with his homework.
Yeah.
I'm like, She's like bouncing her eyebrows.
Yeah, and literally like at the bottom of the stairs,
They come down the steps and she
Amy
says,
yells.
"I thought you wanted to have sex with me."
yeah,
And mom's right there, not
Yeah.
even 10 feet away.
Because she's a cool mom.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, periodically I might do this. That movie they're watching on the screen up in Charlie's bedroom. Amanda Bierce told the story about Roddy McDowell when they were filming that. When he picks the steak up, if you look at it, it's like backwards, and it was just like a mistake.
Yeah.
But I guess like Tom Holland was just like, it's kind of great.
Yeah,
Because he picks it up and it's like a perfect like kind of thing. Because sort of almost sums up the character in a weird way. Doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Especially, I can't wait to talk about Peter Vincent too, because he's like easily one of my favorite movie characters.
And is
100%.
I'm assuming that's an ode to Vincent Price.
Yeah, it's like Peter Cushing and Vincent Price.
Yeah. So the next day, we see that Charlie's at school and he's walking with Ed and they're talking about the pop quiz and stuff, and he's like, "That's the point of a pop quiz," and
To surprise you.
to surprise you. And so we get to that scene, and then we find out, Amy's still like pissed at Charlie. A cool thing, that school that they're shooting at, I'm pretty sure is the same school that they used for Grease. And
Oh, really?
And Once Bitten. Yeah. Is that insane?
Interesting. Actually, he picks up the steak.
Yeah.
For those of you listening at home, we're actually watching this on a TV at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just backwards. Hey, you know what else is actually kind of interesting with the school being connected to Grease and potentially Once Bitten? All the monster prosthetics in this were actually left over from Ghostbusters.
Yes, I have that written like a
Yeah.
lot, like later on.
Yeah.
About the final creature
got
form
this-
of Jerry.
It got
Yeah.
the scraps from all these great movies.
I know, right? Like, so it just had that essence of greatness around it already. But yeah, so Charlie sees a woman arrive at his new neighbor's house and is taken aback by her attractiveness. Like, he gets home from school, he's getting out of the car, and he sees like a taxi roll up, and she goes to him. She's like, "Oh, this isn't the right house."
Is this
is it?"
99 Oak? Yeah, I think it's also like when he sees her arrive, it's more like she doesn't look like she's from the neighborhood.
No, not at all.
And who is that played by?
Well, I'm not sure who that is.
She's played by
Victim number
two.
No, it's just,
That's not Helen Hunt?
no.
No,
Does that look like Helen Hunt, or am I crazy?
You're crazy.
that looks like William Ragsdale.
Yeah, it looks like William Ragsdale.
Oh,
Charlie
you're talking
Brewster?
about the girl. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, but yeah, while so he gets home, he sees this girl, and he's like, "Wow." So this is another sign of like the neighborhood kind of slowly changing, right? Like,
Morphing.
so this is what I love about the script and the directing is like, so first Charlie sees the coffin, so that's like a little bit of the tilt about the neighborhood, like kind of
Being seduced.
being
by
seduced,
evil.
and now like you have this attractive woman arriving to the neighborhood, and again doesn't look like she belongs there either, and Charlie knows that too. He's like, "Whoa, okay." And so
It's funny though, like when they show her death on the news, the guy's just like a known prostitute. I'm like, whoa.
man. Yeah. So Charlie gets home, he runs upstairs and stuff, but while at the Max,
I'd like to point out, uncredited Helen Hunt.
oh, okay.
No, it's
no
not.
no way. Are you serious?
Well, that's what Reddit is telling me. Reddit
Wait a
might
minute,
not
really?
Be trustworthy.
Shut up.
That's Helen Hunt.
Am I crazy? Becca, is this Helen Hunt from Twister?
From Twister. Remember
From Twister.
Twister. As good as it gets. Oh my gosh.
That
Maybe
might
it
be
is.
her. Dude, my whole entire world just caved in.
All right, guys. Sorry to throw
Well,
you
look
off
at
like
look at
second.
Vince is new to school and he's
Yeah.
teaching us.
Oh my god. Is that yeah, but
Okay, anyway, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
so
started
where
throwing you
am
off
I?
like that.
yeah. So while at the, Max, I guess it's like their version of the Max from Saved by the Bell. It's like this restaurant area where all the teenagers are basically hanging out. Charlie and Amy are catching up, and they're kind of like making up, and then again, Charlie gets distracted by what the news anchor is saying, that the second murder in 2 days, and recognizes the picture of the lady.
It
And
also doesn't help that the night before he heard a scream come out of the new Dandridge home.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so it's kind of like putting the pieces together.
Yeah,
So far
like,
we got
wait a
Coffin
second.
being brought into the house.
her arrival, the scream, and then now we're here at the restaurant, and these two, Amy and Charlie, they start to make up a little bit and talk about what happened. But Charlie gets distracted and he ends up looking at the TV and he's like finding out the newsreel, and then Evil Ed is like filling him in on more of like, you know,
Second in 2 days.
2 days. And
Get this. Both of them had their heads chopped off.
yeah.
Can you believe it?
Yeah. And Amy gets pissed again, and she shoves a cheeseburger into Charlie's face, where we get the most quotable, probably best line, I think, which is, "You're so cool, Brewster."
Which is autographed on that poster I have at home.
So cool.
Which is just classic 80s movie, smashing someone's, just
Face.
smash. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It
It's
doesn't
so
get
good.
better than that.
Yeah.
To be fair, it took me about half my life to figure out what was smushed into his face.
I believe it was a chili dog or a
looked like
sloppy,
yeah,
a sloppy
something-
Joe of some sort.
Yeah, originally it looks like a cheeseburger, and then she picks it up, and when she smashes it in
Look at
his
this
face,
thing. It's a lot of everything.
yeah,
Look at that.
and it's just boom.
It's
And
got mustard. The meat is loose.
Yeah.
Everything
It's-
is on there.
there's lettuce, shredded.
Soil and cream.
just so people know.
Lettuce shredded.
Not just regular lettuce, everyone.
So then the next scene has Charlie arriving home, and he gets curious about his neighbors, and he starts to like venture over a little bit into the yard, and then he's like, you know what, I'm gonna look into the basement. So as he's about to open the basement, we meet one of the men who live at this house, and which is Billy Cole. He yells at Charlie to stop, right? And
Hey, kid.
yeah. And so up until this point, we don't really know what Billy is. He might be a vampire, but I think he might be like a vampire, like familiar.
But
Yeah.
it's very unclear.
Yeah, they never really state exactly.
I think
If
he's
he
supposed
is
to
or
be
not.
like a Renfield kind of character.
Yeah.
Who's just less tortured and more just kind of like, I like this role that was given to me.
Yeah, he's having fun in this role.
He's always like smirking.
I would also like to point out the confidence with which he decided, I'm going to go break and enter into this house.
Yeah,
And
right?
it was on a whim. It was within like 5 seconds. Like, I'm going to go back into that. No, I'm going to go break into this guy.
He doesn't really like do the coast is clear thing.
No, he just walks right in. He doesn't check anything. He just walks
Charlie
right
just
over there.
walks over. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna look in this basement.
I'm sure I could make this sound good if I get caught.
Yeah.
I lost my cat. I think I heard him down there.
Nope, nothing. What are you doing? I don't know.
So then later on, we see where Charlie, he has a bunch of snacks and magazines and stuff. And he's kind of like doing a stakeout.
Like a la
emphasis.
Jimmy Stewart.
I thought it was an ode
Yeah.
to Rear Window.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. I
Exactly.
think that's
The
I think-
blanket, the binoculars, the
Yeah.
chair. It was all.
It was.
I'm fairly certain that that's how they pitched the movie. It was like Rear Window with vampires. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that.
But yeah, no, like it's so funny because I have that written down. It looks like Rear Window where he has like the blanket over his lap.
yeah.
He's sitting in the chair and he has the binoculars and everything.
Oh, I saw a vampire.
Yeah. And that's when Charlie, he ends up waking up and he looks over and he sees this girl who's kind of being seduced by Jerry Dandridge, who we now are introduced, like the audience is introduced as a vampire, because as he's like taking off her shirt and stuff, we see he tilts his head back and his fangs like come out, and then he takes a bite. But before he takes the bite, he actually catches Charlie looking, and then goes over and closes the window. And
Which is so. It just hits so hard. Like when he
It's
looks
so
at him,
good.
you're like, oh, he's in trouble.
yeah, you're like, oh no. But yeah, he then Charlie is like, oh my god. So he runs to tell like his mom, who just is like, what are you talking about? You know? And then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna run outside. So Charlie runs outside and he dives behind a bush. But first he feels like something flying overhead, like running on the roof, and then flies over, and he sees where Billy Cole has this giant bag and he's like throwing it into the trunk of his Jeep.
Clearly a body.
Clearly the shape
Or
and size
an
of
old
a body.
Oriental rug that has blood on it.
That's my method.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
So I know
garbage
what
bag?
it is.
Okay.
Yeah, garbage bag. With
Garbage bag, yeah. And so Charlie's seeing this, and then he
Are
sees
we recording this?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think.
Jerry Dandridge just arrive out of nowhere, and he's like, "Oh, don't forget, her like coin bag or purse, like mini purse."
I believe it's called a clutch, but go
a
ahead.
clutch. Oh, thank you. Yes.
And then Billy was very, very excited because it actually went with his outfit.
Yes. Yeah. So as they're doing this, Charlie's mom comes out and she is like, Charlie,
Blowing up his spot.
blowing up his spot. And he's like, right, and like just silent, sitting there, hiding in the bushes. And that's when Jerry easily catches on this kid's watching him, so he throws the apple over towards him, scaring the crap out of Charlie, pretty much.
It's such like a subtle control thing.
Yeah, that's
know
what's
what I mean?
so cool
Like,
about
he's so
Jerry.
powerful.
He's just so like in charge of the scene. So like, he's just
like,
a cool
"Kid,
vampire.
I know where you are.
Yeah, he's like,
Just knock it off.
yeah. But yeah, so then we get where Charlie tries to tell his mom, and then we get this really cool match cut.
I was gonna say, if you didn't bring this up, I was gonna lose it.
I thought this was another
He's a
point.
vampire.
Yeah.
A what? A what?
Yeah, and so they do this really cool match cut where he's explaining it to his mom, and then that has the match cut where the conversation is continuing, but now it's to Amy, and that another great director like choice to use that as like a way to tell two people
The same thing.
in one conversation.
So you don't have to like
Yeah.
say the same information twice.
Yeah.
I also really enjoy William Ragsdale's delivery of the line, "I don't want hot cocoa."
I don't want hot cocoa. But again, awesome job on the directing and the blocking and stuff. It's just so like, because the way he's sitting down and the other character receiving this information is standing up, and it's just like, it's a great.
Yeah, dude. It's
Yeah.
the quality of the filmmaking of this movie is why I think it's endured for so long. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just such like a it has like such a strong fan base, and I think it's just because like you make like a really great film, it's gonna hang out.
Yeah.
You know?
And for listeners who don't know this, Tom Holland actually directed Psycho 2, which is very like underrated. Oh no, he wrote Psycho 2.
He wrote
which
it?
is like super underrated.
That
I
is
feel like,
that movie. It always bugs me because I think when you talk about Psycho 2, you immediately just go to that like, oh, they made a sequel to one of the greatest movies of all time, so you immediately just write it off. But when you watch it, it's so good.
so freaking good.
Possibly a future episode, Vince.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah, Psycho
Yeah.
2 is I agree. Underrated might not even cover it.
Yeah. I know. I
it's
absolutely.
so
How many
good.
how many years after the original did the
It's like 20, 22,
Okay.
22 years, because I think it says that on the poster.
Yeah.
But he also did Child's Play.
Yeah. He directed Child's Play, the first Child's Play. Again, Chris Sarandon is in that, and he's amazing in
doll.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Doll. Tom Holland is
Perfect.
a very appreciated director, I feel like.
Yeah, we should start a campaign to bring him back.
Yeah, bring Tom Holland back.
Well, he's busy doing the Spider-Man movies
Right,
now,
yeah.
right?
So he's, no, it's so funny. I remember
He looks great for his age.
we were watching this
Fantastic.
with like Kristen, Chris's girlfriend, and we were talking about like Tom Holland. She's like, "Wait, like Spider-Man?" Yeah, we're like, "No."
Yeah, back before
It's a
he was
different
born.
I was
one.
gonna say oh, God, how old? He was definitely not born when this came out.
No,
I'm on it, guys. No.
No, he was born probably like 1990.
1996. Tom
Okay, so
Holland.
yeah, so he did make this movie.
Yeah, so he
Is it a
jumped.
Benjamin Button type
Yeah,
situation
it is,
where he's
yeah.
It is.
But yeah, so Charlie then he gets a detective to come and check out the Dandridge house, and so far like the detective's going along. He believes what Charlie's saying, and Billy Cole answers the door. He invites them in, and Charlie kind of blows it when he's like, "Well, there's a coffin downstairs." He's like, sleeping the undead dead.
Yeah, he really hams it up.
He hams up the whole, he's a vampire, and that's when Billy Cole and the detective are just like cracking up at Charlie's story.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
That cop, R.J.
Yes.
Evans, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Of Tales from the Hood fame.
Yeah.
His performance is perfect.
Oh,
I
he's
know,
great.
like, if it was like a modern movie, they would have made him go like way over the top. He just feels like a real cop to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
He's genuinely pissed that this kid is
wasting his
time.
time.
Yeah. He's just like,
I could be
"Oh, come
sleeping
on."
at my desk right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so when the detective doesn't believe him, Charlie actually rushes to Evil Ed's house.
Hey, we're on that scene right now in the movie. EJ, what is next to him? That little glowing thing.
I think it's an aquarium. Isn't
No,
it?
but there's
very
like
dirty
it
aquarium.
looks like a Lugosi biting a woman.
Oh,
What is that?
I didn't see it.
So like my
If any of you listeners know, please email. We have an email, I think, so please get on that.
Yeah.
my 4K it clears it up, and I never noticed it up until recently.
Yeah.
And it's like it looks like Bela Lugosi biting a woman, but I don't exactly know what the.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, I thought it was like an
more
aquarium.
You know.
I bet you there's some meaning behind it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel like there's so many things that like kind of hidden in the background, like that skull. Yeah, that skull kind of plays into. Yeah. Guess later on, someone dies. There's a skull, obviously, but yeah, Charlie then rushes the Evil Ed's and asks him to help him out and what he can use to protect himself. Ed agrees to help him out for $8, and because who is he to turn down a fool's money? And Ed describes the rules, which is a good gateway for like the audience too, because I feel like if the audience isn't really familiar with the rules of like, how to protect yourself against vampires, here's Ed kind of laying out that like exposition.
Yeah, because you can't always
like
be like assuming that people know.
right.
I mean, like the average viewer may not know exactly what the lore is, and I think they kind of take their own little liberties with it.
Right.
Actually, no. Sorry, backtracking. Because what I was going to get at was that he said that you have to have total faith in it for it to work. But
Yeah.
I believe that actually, as a lot of things did, came from a Hammer film called Dracula's Risen from the Grave. That scene, we'll get to it later when Jerry sits right up in his coffin.
Yeah.
Pulled right out of that movie.
As a vampire novice, I found all of that information very useful.
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot of those things. I didn't know that you had to believe with the cross. I didn't know that the mirror thing. I didn't know, all of this was new to me.
Did you ever see that movie?
Oh yeah.
Like the main character, and it's like he's like, I'm an atheist, and he's just kind of like, well, get out of my house then, because he was like talking to like a Monsignor or something.
Yeah.
Like that. But that whole thing, that's one of my favorite vampire movies of all time, by the way. If you've ever not seen that, it's fantastic. Dracula's from the Grave.
Yeah. I like Interview
Christopher
with
Lee.
the Vampire a lot too.
I like the Money Pit.
Yeah, I like the Money Pit. But yeah, Charlie gets all this info about how he can protect himself. So when Charlie arrives home, we see that he's like pretty much nailing his window shut, because one of the main rules is never welcome a vampire into your house, right? Mm-hmm. So as he's doing this, his mom calls him downstairs, and
To no avail.
Yeah, and to no avail, she actually invited Jerry into the house. And that's when he meets Jerry face to face for the first time. The reveal's
Hello,
really
Charlie.
cool. Yeah, because I love how his chair, like the blocking again, is like...
Oh, it's hands wrapped. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's like he's sitting in the chair. You see like
crossed.
yeah, the legs crossed,
kind of bouncing.
Yeah, and so when he gets up and he actually sees him face to face, that whole exchange is so good and entertaining, and as an audience member, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is him right there. He could do anything right now, because knowing the strengths and all that of a vampire.
It's funny because it's actually very comedic how it's like she invites him in.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, like, oh my God. And then she hits it with, oh yeah, anytime.
Anytime you want to come over.
Anytime you want to come
Anytime you
over.
wanna come over. It's just like,
It's like, oh, thanks, Mom. And she's like, are you feeling all right, Charlie? He's like, yeah. And he's like, we see Charlie Brewster just like sweating bullets. But But yeah, so that night we have where Jerry actually pays a visit to Charlie and warns him to like back off. And I love when Jerry arrives in the house. He's like kind of whistling "Strangers in the Night." Yeah, I was like, oh, this is great. But yeah, he sneaks into Charlie's room before the warning and stuff, and he's like hiding. And so when Charlie comes in, we kind of see that slow reveal of like the closet door opening and him like walking out, and then surprising Charlie like right behind him. And there's so many cool things. Just like watching it, and just choices from like directors and the blocking and stuff. I can't gush about this movie more.
There's a wonderful thing that happens leading into this part.
Can I, before you get started, for most people that are not in the know, when they're talking about blocking, who wants to explain blocking?
Oh,
Go ahead.
Oh, it's just where you have your actors, and if you have your actors doing a scene, you don't like you could have them sitting, standing, but
also where the camera is at that moment in time.
Yeah,
plays
so
a huge role.
you have your
just
camera
the way-
staging your camera, and then blocking is when you have your actors like going
where their
back and
mark
forth.
is going to be and things
Right.
like that. And going back again,
entering, exiting a scene.
I'm big on details and just the way things look. And again, this movie, even if you took everything out of it with all the vampires and stuff, it's shot beautifully.
Yeah,
I love
From that
to
opening scene to like what you're talking about, him sitting in the chair, just that whole feel that you get, that it's ominous and you're going to
the
be
reveals.
It's
and-
great.
oh,
It's fantastic.
so
What I
good.
wanted to tack on here with it actually ties into him and the way he's sitting in the chair. So like when he does confront Charlie in his bedroom, my favorite thing
when
about
he comes out of the
Yeah.
closet,
my favorite thing about Jerry Dandridge as like a vampire, why he's my favorite vampire in any movie really. I know. I'm like
Keanu Reeves would like to have a
overhyping
conversation
this.
with you, but anyway,
yeah,
that's
take
okay.
that, Keanu Reeves. The thing that I really like about him is that he doesn't ever really see Charlie as a threat.
Right.
And if anything, he almost like shows him like sympathy. He basically says to him like, "Forget about me,
Yeah.
and I'll forget about you."
Yeah. Do you know what I could do to you?
Yeah, like he
Right.
just doesn't see him as like a reason. Like he doesn't have to kill him.
He's
That's
an-
what's
Right.
interesting about him.
He's almost an inconvenience.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like he just sees him as like a scared kid.
Yeah.
and he's just gonna like show him like some weird level of compassion and be like, just walk away, like walk away. You don't have to do anything. So the way he's sitting in that chair, it's like his legs are out and he just looks real relaxed. He's got the Bloody Mary in his hand.
Yeah.
he just does not ever see Charlie as an obstacle. It's just kind of like coming over to say like this is over.
Yeah. You can't. There's nothing you can do. I've been alive for hundreds of years.
And I look great.
Who are you? But a teen punk. You know what I mean?
I also made like a tiny observation. If you have the fixins for a Bloody Mary at your house, you're probably an alcoholic.
Oh, sure.
Mom had that at the ready
Yeah.
and whipped up within 5 minutes.
She's like throwing Valium at her kid later.
Oh, we'll get
She's
into
like,
that
"Would
too.
you like a
That was one
Valium?"
of my favorites.
Also, last thing I'll say, when he comes
Doubt
out of the, well, yeah, you're going to hear a lot from me about this scene. When he comes out of the closet,
Yeah.
one of my favorite things about that moment, it reminds me a lot of the ending of the original Halloween.
Yeah.
You see Michael sit up in the background and it's out of focus.
Yeah.
I love when directors show restraint because I feel like a lot of inexperienced filmmakers might show like, Jerry open the closet and then you punch in on him and you see him make like a look and then you come back. That
Yeah.
having him open the closet out of focus and you just see him moving around back there and then he kind
Yeah.
of moves into focus is so much more powerful
It
than
kind of
the
helped-
unnecessary cutting.
It kind of
Yeah.
helped build too.
Yeah.
And there's another
Hold it
cool
sometimes,
like
you know?
Halloween thing later on with Billy Cole. He does like the Michael Myers.
Yeah,
sit
he
up.
sits up, man.
Ah, it's so good.
But yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
So Charlie, Jerry's giving him this warning, and he's like, "Don't play with me," basically,
Forget about
and
me,
then
I'll forget about
Charlie,
you.
yeah, and he's like holding Charlie by the neck the whole time, like saying this, and then Charlie grabs number 2 pencil. I thought that was important to share. And he stabs him in the hand, and that's when Jerry kind of does like a Mario Kart wipeout. He's like, woo, 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 woo. But no, he spins around, and and he's like, whoa, like holding his hand. And this is when we see
He
him,
makes such a weird noise. He's like, oh.
even like with the crucifix, sometimes like how he makes it like, oh, like it's so, I love it. But
There are all those little specific things that make this movie wonderful.
but when he gets stabbed in the hand, that's when we first kind of see him vamped out, like one of his forms. Like he has a couple different vampire forms in this movie, and yeah, and at this point he's ready to pounce on Charlie and just probably rip his head off after he got stabbed with the pencil. But luckily, Jerry's number one weakness is Charlie's mom, who's like, Charlie? And he's like, oh, no,
Gotta go. Just gotta take back that invite.
But Jerry's like, oh.
She's my Bloody Mary supplier.
But I love that they did that, though, because it does
Oh,
play
that's
into,
clever,
like,
by the way. I don't
the
know why that just
comical.
popped into my head. Bloody Mary. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I do like how it plays back into the comedy, because it's all these moments of horror, and then the moment like it's about to get super serious, it plays, like, rolls back into comedy again.
Almost
you know?
cartoonish.
Yeah, like a cartoonish, like Jerry actually looks around like, where can I hide, kind of thing, you know. But he ends up running and
So
jumping
funny,
out the
feels
window.
Like, put like a lampshade on his head.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm gonna hide over here. But yeah, so
I know that's you over there, Jerry.
yeah. Oh. But yeah, so Jerry then calls Charlie on the telephone, and Jerry tells him that he destroyed his car. Because at one point, the mom, comes into Charlie's room, and she's like, "What's that noise out there?" He's like, "Oh, it's raccoons in the trash or whatever."
She's like, well, we don't usually have raccoons trashing cars, but that's weird.
But yeah, Jerry calls Charlie on the phone, and Jerry pretty much tells him, A, I destroyed your car, and B, you're next. Like, you screwed up. Like, you should have just walked away when I gave you the chance. And on the TV, Charlie gets an idea from his favorite TV movie character / actor.
Because they're showing, fun
Peter
fact,
Vincent.
they're showing a clip from the Hammer film called Scars of Dracula.
Yeah.
So you get to see
Christopher Lee
in all of his glory.
Yeah. What if I went to Peter Vincent, Vampire Slayer, even though he's an actor, but it's worth a shot, right? So the next day, Charlie rushes, and he's waiting outside of the studio, and that's when Peter Vincent arrives. He's like exiting the studio. One of my favorite characters. I love Peter Vincent. I just love him.
Mom never says anything about the room being trashed.
No.
Why?
Charlie's a
popping
growing
Valium,
boy.
man.
Popping Valium. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bloody Marys
Yeah, I
and
was gonna say
Valium.
Valium and Bloody Marys. That's enough explanation. Her door jam is broken because doesn't he pull the door?
Yeah, Jerry
She's
pulls
okay
it
with
shut
that.
too. Yeah.
His room is destroyed. The
Yeah.
closet, he's thrown almost into another room. The closet's destroyed. But Mom's just gonna go pop a Valium and wash it down with a Bloody Mary, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry. Continue.
I also like that he gets attacked and he just pops the TV on.
Yeah.
I need to calm down.
Yeah, he's got to unwind a little bit.
I need to stay up, I guess.
Oof, that was a lot.
So Charlie gets to meet Peter Vincent, which is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because Peter Vincent is basically just fired from his job, and he's like, I wish I had more fans. And then Charlie says, I believe in vampires. He's like, oh, my sweet boy, thank you. Like you can tell.
I love that moment because it's
Yeah.
like it means something to Peter Vincent that isn't. It's just like, I believe in vampires, sir.
Yeah,
Like, I love your show.
And it means so much to Peter Vincent. And then Charlie
Perhaps if there were more of you,
elaborates.
my ratings would have been higher.
Yeah. And then Charlie elaborates more, and he's like, no, I really believe in vampires. There's one next to me. And
Let me just go get something out of my car.
Yeah.
kid.
Peter Vincent then, basically is like, there's no such thing as vampires, and Charlie's going on and on. Eventually, Peter Vincent just kind of is like, ugh.
He's like, but you said you believe in vampires. He's like, I lied.
Yeah.
It's such a perfect performance.
Yeah, and Roddy McDowall, man, I'm just such a huge fan of him as an actor. Like I don't know, like everything I've ever watched him in, he's always like incredible. But yeah, so because of this, Amy and Evil go and meet up with Charlie at his house, and you could do it.
My favorite part of the movie.
Yeah,
my
do his
hands
wow.
down favorite part.
Evil's
of the movie.
wow.
Oh, the
At 38 minutes exactly.
Wow.
What's all this for?
But they go into Charlie's room, and it is decked out with like crosses and candles and garlic. In the scene, we kind of find out like Charlie wants to go next door and kill Jerry Dandridge while he still has the chance.
But his friends are
like, "Oh, that's murder." Yeah. Well, I don't know. That seems like murder to us. And but they convince Charlie to wait until they try to talk to Peter Vincent, because maybe they could talk Peter Vincent into maybe helping Charlie out. So we flash over to Peter Vincent, and Evil and Amy show up at his home, and Peter, they're trying to talk Peter Vincent into saving Charlie's life, and we kind of see that, you know, Peter Vincent actually was just fired. Now we see like an eviction notice, and so he's a little hard on
Behind
money.
on bills.
Yeah, and so with a $5, no, wait, it was a $500 savings bond.
I'll take it.
Yeah, he jumps on he's like, I can't do that.
Most-
No, I'm an actor.
Most
Yeah.
likely her communion money. She's been having it her entire life.
Yeah. And
That's
she's
the
like, I have
thing-
a $500 savings bond. He's like, I'll take it. I love it.
That's the thing that makes his character so interesting, and what actually adds like a nice little wrinkle to this film is that like Charlie sees him as like the fearless vampire hunter,
When he's actually terrified.
but he's a coward, and that's
Yeah.
such a great thing because it's like they're all relying on a guy who's just like, "Whoa."
Who's the Harry
afraid.
Harry Potter character that was like that? They had a professor that was all brave and.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Becca. Over from the corner, Becca with the save. He kind of gave me those vibes.
Okay.
Yeah,
which
like a
I'm a-
Gilderoy Lockhart. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I love the idea that the person that you think is your savior is a huge coward.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just so fun.
Yeah, so
I also think that's empowering to know that for Charlie's character that like if this guy's not going to save me, I got to do it myself.
Yeah, and then it's
Yeah.
like, and then the experience of like doing the right thing for Peter. It's like he learns how to be the fearless vampire hunter. Like it's
Right.
perfect.
it's so good. It's just great storytelling
Yeah.
to have your character be something everyone thinks he is, and then he's not, and then he does become that. It's beautiful. Like that's what's so great about movies, because you get to see like
The arc.
growth and stuff.
say arc.
Yeah.
Arcs. But yeah, but they end up talking, you know, Peter Vincent into helping Charlie, and they come up with like a plan to, and they even call Jerry Dandridge to be like, okay, is it cool if we bring crosses? And Jerry's like, I love helping the youth of today. Maybe not crosses, because I'm born again.
Yeah, he's like I've been reborn recently.
Reborn recently. And then they're like, okay, what about like
That sounds real suspicious.
yeah, I know, right? Like, okay, no crucifixes. What about holy water? Oh no, I don't know.
Can we do this
it'll
maybe
be
on
tap.
Can we do this in the daytime?
Yeah.
Nah, that's not gonna work either.
Yeah, he's like, if it's tap water, sure, I
Yeah.
could drink it. And they're like, okay, what time is good for you? Anytime past 6 o'clock when it gets dark, because I'll be out until then. And it's like, you're walking into a trap. Like anyone who, like, obviously they don't believe Charlie and Vincent. Peter Vincent doesn't believe Charlie. They don't think vampires are real at all. But like, if you were in this world and you did have a friend who's kind of losing it a little bit and is like, this person's a vampire, I would start. To
You
be
might
like,
might start to show a little bit of concern.
yeah, like, I'm gonna question a lot of like the no's on this.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
just feel like it's like it could be tap water. It's like, all right, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
But our water carrier is actually like Holy Cross water. Is that okay? He's like, no, that's actually not good for me either.
Yeah, he's like,
You
"Oh,
got any
no."
like Dasani you can just bring in?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you were going to get to this part, but when they are in the house and he does give him the water, he
Yeah.
makes this motion towards the fire.
Yeah.
Is
to
that
check.
something? What is that?
I think that's like just to maybe like see or verify maybe.
Is that done for the audience, or is that something like the water is blessed, but then you hold it to the flame, it unblesses it, which is makes it. So how is he able to drink that? Because
vampire,
you get
it wasn't blessed at all.
You get it. Oh,
yeah, the water was never blessed.
I was going to say because you get
tap water.
Because I remember this from Dogma. You get any priest or any one of anyone involved with the church to bless something, and it's blessed.
Yeah. I think in the vampire lore that if it actually was blessed and you hold it to the fire, you actually see Jesus Christ and he's like smiling at you. So that's how he knows.
The buddy Christ.
Yeah.
Buddy Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but so the next day, Peter goes to the Dandridge house for the test, quote unquote, and Jerry meets
with Charlie and Amy and
he meets
Ed.
And then
I love how he just like throws it away. He's just like,
and oh my God, Amy! Like that's his like how he receives them as guests. He's like Ed. Oh my God, Amy! How are you, girl? Give me that hand. But yeah, no, he so he meets these two, and Charlie's like, you need your vampire kit. Come on, bring it in. Like, they're going to kill us in there. And then Peter's like, I have to make sure. Of course, if I'm going to kill a vampire, I have to make sure myself that they're a vampire, right? So while in the house, like Vince brought up, they're doing the holy water test. And so we see, like Jerry has the hesitation about drinking it. Because not even Peter Vincent is like verifying that it's normal water, and he does hold it to the flame to like maybe check. Maybe there's something like magical about holy water that maybe he could see. You know what I mean? And then he kind of like even reluctantly drinks it because up until this point he really doesn't know. He was told it's tap water, but you could see he's like, all right,
you know. If he started dabbing on his neck,
he's just like using it as cologne. Charlie's like, damn it! But when he does this, everyone else is convinced. It's just like tap water. Except Charlie thinks it's real, and Peter Vincent is telling him it's real. And so Jerry drinks it, and you could even see Billy is kind of like ready to like pounce just in case like stuff goes down. And it's a really tense scene because Charlie is seeing the interactions between Jerry and Billy.
Charlie sees everything.
Yeah, Charlie's like seeing it all.
If you watch his like expressions, like William Ragsdale does a really great job just kind of like seeing everything, whereas everybody else sees everything from like a very limited view.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
He like sees like how they're like Jerry kind of like looks at Billy quick and Billy's ready to like pounce. You know what I mean? Like, or steps in a little bit. And it causes like more of that tension, and then they kind of lax a little after like Peter Vincent. I almost called him Alex Vincent.
So close.
It's so close. But Peter Vincent is like, oh no, it's just a fake thing or whatever, and they're like, oh okay, But it isn't until they're leaving, they're about to exit, and they bring up the prop beforehand of the mirror. Which I thought it was so cool, because Evil Ed, that's one of the ways he kind of convinces Peter Vincent to help, is he brings up the mirror from one of his movies. And he's like, I still have the prop, he's like showing it off. And while they're at the house, they're about to... Yeah, one of my favorite roles. And Peter Vincent pulls the mirror out, and that's when he sees... Well, doesn't really see, but Jerry doesn't have a reflection. And so Peter Vincent gets so frightened by this. He closes the mirror and he actually drops it to the point where Jerry goes, everything okay? And he's just like, oh, yeah. I have to head out now.
Get something out of my car.
Yeah. I forgot my things. I gotta get my things. And then Rush is all like Dennis from It's Always Sunny.
My tools. My tools. I need my tools.
I need my tools. I need my tools.
I have to have my tools.
So he runs out of the house. And
fetish shit.
Yeah.
Hey, but real quick before we go forward, do you want to know how Jerry Dandridge failed the vampire test?
How?
So, like, a vampire would want you to bring over somebody so that you can be like, oh, yeah, just prove to him that he's not really a vampire. A vampire would want that. A normal person, if you ever called them up and said, hey, can I bring my, like, friend over?
Are you out of your friggin' mind?
I'm sleeping.
Yeah. I'm busy.
Don't ever call here again.
I have a life.
What are you thinking? Of course not. That's my 2 cents.
But yeah, so Peter Vincent gets in his car. He just takes off. He's like terrified.
He didn't cast a reflection.
Yeah, and he's just like zooms out of there. And then meanwhile, like,
And for some reason, Ed and Amy
just refuse to believe.
Well, they don't hear him say that.
Yeah,
They're like right behind
I heard him say it. They're just like,
No.
he's crazy also.
Yeah.
And then,
maybe I can get that $500 savings
No,
fund
that's
back.
gone.
and then
I spent it.
and Charlie's
it's
like, let's walk Amy home. We're not gonna let her walk home by herself, because at this point Charlie got the threat that Jerry kind of like put out there in a subtle way, like, hey, back off or your friends are next too, you know what I mean? And so he's like, we got to walk Amy home. So on their walk back, Ed splits off from them, and that's when Ed actually gets attacked by Jerry. Not so much attacked, but maybe more like seduced.
Welcomed into the fraternity that is vampirism.
Yeah.
Will, there's also an interesting thing, another layer about Jerry that's interesting, is that I don't think that he's like specifically like heterosexual. There's a little homoeroticism going on in that scene that's lovely.
Jerry kind of seduces Ed.
He's like,
you know what I mean?
I know what
And-
it's like to be different,
Right.
handsome, confident, rich.
All of the things that
hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
Come on.
Look
take
how
my
look
hand.
how great I look
Yeah.
at 200 years old.
No lotions or skin creams.
I know.
It's all
It's a
natural.
nightmare to be me.
Yeah. But no, he holds his hand out to Ed, and
Take my creepy hand out.
it's like Ed giving into the temptation. You know
I
what
also
I mean?
feel,
I love that.
I also feel like Ed understands that there's a choice that I could either die a horrible, gruesome death, or I could live like this guy.
Yeah. I think like even with that choice, like he could die, or should I embrace evil? You know what I mean? Like, because he hates being called evil, right? Like he says that to Charlie earlier, but he has like some sadistic, thoughts and throws out some weird stuff sometimes. But like Jerry giving him like that hand, I thought it's so powerful in a way that like he's like, this is what you want, and
Doesn't
you
give
see
him, like,
Ed is even like kind of like
hesitant.
it is like, but he's a little hesitant, but he's still like going over with his hand at the same time. You know what I mean?
Why it's brilliant is that if he just put his hand out, it was like
Yeah.
a normal human hand.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't hit as hard.
Yeah.
It's
Those
the
pointy
creepy
fingernails.
hands. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
kind of
thin,
sells
that
it.
paper,
Yeah,
paper thin skin.
perfect.
Oh, it's so good. I love that scene. It's just so good. I don't know. And so meanwhile, Charlie and Amy are they come across Jerry at one point, and they run into like a nightclub trying to like get away from Jerry. Jerry is using the power of like seduction to get like Amy to come to him too. You know what I mean?
It's
That
just an
whole scene is so
amazing
good.
scene.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what's really bizarre? There's a Family Guy spoof that.
Did they
Yes.
really?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Because
And I didn't know
What the spoof
what
was?
the spoof was when I saw the episode of Family Guy until I saw this.
Yeah. Meg she adopts a cat,
Yeah.
and the cat seduces her, and they do that whole dance from Fright Night.
Shut up!
It's
I
pretty
never.
amazing, yeah.
I have to watch like catch up on Family Guy.
That's Chef.
I was gonna
It's
mention
like Chef Boyardee.
But yeah, meanwhile, while this is happening at the club, like we see where Amy is kind of giving into Jerry. The way it plays out with him just like kind of walking slowly, and they're like dancing. Oh man, the way it just plays out, it just feels like they're becoming one. It's so cool. I love that.
I like that shot of her, like when she's looking in the mirror and she's just like dancing with herself.
by herself.
Yeah.
I will again going back to because I love the way things look. That the scene where he's on the phone and he's babbling on the phone in the background and he's far away and then he's a little bit closer and a little bit closer and then a little bit closer. The tension that is built in that is awesome because
So good.
you feel kind of threatened by it, even though he looks so damn handsome.
Yeah, he's just charming as
so
hell.
awesome too when he walks into the club and he just does not care about anybody else in there.
Yeah.
Like he's just kind of like
just hyper focused onto just Amy.
It's like everyone else is just like they're like insects
Parting
to
the
him,
seas.
you know?
Yeah. But yeah, meanwhile, we see where Ed, who is now turned into like a vampire Ed, pays a visit to Peter Vincent, who like immediately invites Ed into his house. And then Ed ends up attacking Peter, and Peter, they're like wrestling around, and he grabs a crucifix and he puts it to Ed's forehead, burning him. And Ed like jumps out the window, and he's like, "The master will be so mad at you!" Like, and he like jumps out the window and stuff.
Maybe also if like Peter went to the window and he's like, "Ed, flying isn't one of your powers."
he's just dead
Down
on
at the bottom
street.
of the window, he's splattered.
We're 13 stories up.
You can't fly.
But yeah, Ed jumps out the window. But that is so iconic that like mark, the cross on the forehead. It actually was on the cover.
VHS.
Yeah.
The what was it, like the second generation cover?
Yeah. Because the poster of Fright Night is iconic. It's like one of the best movie posters I think of all time.
I would argue it's probably the most striking 1980s poster.
Yeah.
Because you saw that in like video stores and it grabbed your attention.
Yeah. And then Evil Ed, like we were saying, for like alternate covers of like Fright Night throughout time here, like the burn on his forehead is as iconic, you know. So it's just really, I don't know, I love it. But Jerry ends up at the club. He gives Charlie the ultimatum, right? He's like, "You bring Peter Vincent to my house, or Amy dies," right? And so Charlie's like, "Oh, great, cool, yeah, I'll just get Peter Vincent to go to your house." But yeah, he's actually trying to call Peter Vincent at the club and stuff, and that's when Jerry ends up taking Amy and getting her and stuff. But Charlie gets that ultimatum, like, bring Peter Vincent to my house tonight, or Amy's dead, right? So we cut over and then
EJ, you forgot something. So he kills 2 bouncers, right?
Oh yeah.
And one of them is Ali from Friday the 13th Part 3, the biker.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I love a good throat slashing, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look when he shows his red eyes, he's just like, Leon!
Yeah, that's right. I should have never skipped over that. But no, those, because that's, it was an awesome scene.
Yeah.
And, like, the way it plays out.
That whole sequence is just, it's perfect.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite movie moments.
And then, so Charlie goes to Peter and he asks him for his help. And just like a last ditch effort, like, "Please, Mr. Vincent, you have to help me, please," right? And but Peter Vincent is just too terrified. Yeah, he's just like too scared to even try, He
kind of reacts to it the way a normal human would.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like no,
it's
absolutely.
Like very like understandable.
Why would I go there? I'm not gonna risk.
I'm an old man. I don't want to go tussle with a vampire.
Yeah. But meanwhile at Jerry's, Jerry kind of gives like a little bit of a history of why Amy is important to him, because he actually knew someone who kind of looked like her before. And then that's when Amy is even further seduced by Jerry, and he ends up biting her. And I don't know, like the trickle of blood is so freaking amazing.
Yeah,
how
it's
they
right on.
did that.
2 trickles, and then that one little third trickle down the center.
You know what was a really weird scene though is that right after he bites her, there's this really loud knock on the door, and it's the cop, and he's like, "Well, we couldn't get you for being a vampire, but statutory rape.
Yeah,
She's 17, buddy. You're going to jail."
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's
Is
just
is there something again in the lore of vampires, virgin blood versus regular blood?
yeah. I mean, like
What do
once
you
bitten.
prefer?
What do you, EJ? When
do
you
you prefer?
are
In my vampire state, I prefer regular people blood.
regular
Okay.
people,
Yeah.
okay.
But
So
you don't
you're-
have any preferences, like the
No,
young, the
I,
old.
like True Blood, not really my thing.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're not
Not
into
that synthetic
statutory
stuff.
biting people.
No.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
anymore.
Virgin Blood, not so good.
Yeah.
But it's overrated.
Age is like fine wine. I gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes you just like you
It's
like
like
apple
Coke
juice.
and
Sometimes
Pepsi.
I just-
you're more into orange
I can't
juice.
get over the fact that they're okay with the essentially a high schooler. And how old is he? I know he's 100 something.
400 years old.
He's
I don't know.
400 something, but he's got to be in his 40s. Let's just say to the average person, and it's just 18. It's okay. That's fine. I don't.
Yeah.
I wish it was 18. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure she's about 17.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I'm saying. If that cop shows up at the door and he's just
he's
like,
got him on the statutory rate.
yeah, we
Instead
can't
of
get it. We couldn't
vampire.
get it as a vampire. We gotcha.
Coffin in the
Damn it.
basement. Body. No, we got you
Yeah.
on this.
But so after his last ditch effort in asking Peter Vincent, Charlie faces this lonely walk to what might be his last night on Earth. Like his fate of like coming face to face with Jerry, and he's giving up himself in hopes to save Amy, and he's
The
about to
spookiest house on the block.
yeah, and venture into this, once safe neighborhood, into this house of horror, and he's doing it alone. But he's briefly stopped by Peter Vincent, who I love that because you're like, oh man, he's just about to just give himself up, like just he's gonna die. Like there's no
Ready
way
to
Charlie
do
makes
battle
it
with
by
the
himself.
undead.
Yeah, and Peter Vincent has his tools.
His tools. Gotta have my tools.
And he's ready to go. So he has his box of his vampire kit ready to go in, and so they go into the house, and they're heading up the stairs where they're greeted by Jerry, giving another iconic line from the movie. Go ahead, you have to do it.
Oh, want me to?
Yeah.
So this is a real side thing here. Years ago at a Monster Mania, I met Chris Sarandon, and because I was about 19 or 20 at the time, I said, "Hey, I can do an impression of you." Didn't think that was weird.
You would do that now. Come on.
I would probably do that now, but I said, "Hey, I can do an impression of you," and he just got his security to move me out of the room. But I flashed a gun, so then we all got on the same page. The restraining order ends in a couple of years, so I'll get that autograph.
Okay.
But yeah, he kind of walks in. He's like, "Welcome to Fright Night. For real.
I love it. So good.
Welcome
the for real.
to Fright Night." There it is.
I like
Yeah,
the
that's
the
perfect.
rolling of the R's. It's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But the for real when he goes back to like the Jerry accent, like where he's like, for real. It's so good, so powerful, so like
Sinister.
sinister. Yeah. Even like Welcome to Fright Night, if he just did that would have been like, ugh, because he's like scratching the railing with his like long vampire fingernails, and he's like, "Welcome to Fright Night," right? But
Thanks for letting me do that, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. I thank
Want
you
me
for doing it.
Want me to do like a Christopher Lee for you?
Yeah,
But without skills of a lightsaber.
that's pretty good.
All right.
Can I
Wait,
do?
Wait, my voice is cracked. Hold on a second. But without skills of a lightsaber.
That's pretty
That's
good.
really
That's
good.
pretty good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Can I do Owen Wilson? No,
Yeah,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
kidding.
Go ahead. But do Owen Wilson as Jerry Dandridge.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Welcome to Fright Night.
Wow.
For real.
Wow.
Your eyes are blue like the sky. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. But yeah, so he delivers this iconic line, and they knock Charlie off the banister. Well, Billy hits Charlie, and he falls over the banister to the ground, and Peter pulls out the crucifix, and Jerry just grabs it and like crushes the crucifix, and he's like, "You have to believe in that."
No, you have to have faith for that to work.
Yeah.
Mr.
Vincent. And so he basically
snotty about it.
Yeah, he's so snotty.
Well, he should know. Shouldn't he know? Of all people, he should know.
He should, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of
Yeah, it's like
understandable. He's like annoyed by
You're
it.
coming
Yeah.
here, a vampire expert, and you don't even know?
He's like, get out of here.
So Peter runs out of the house, terrified, and heads over to the Brewster home to look for Mrs. Brewster and try to call the cops, right? So he tries to call the cops, but
Because the cops were so helpful before.
right. And he was already told by Charlie, no, the detectives won't believe us. But he goes to call, but the line's cut. So he runs upstairs. He's looking for Mrs. Brewster. And I kind of like how like Tom Holland, I don't know, like I think it was intentional, of course. Where Ed, he's like, Mrs. Brewster to the bed. And you see like this goofy red wig with like a little old grandma cap on it. And it turns out to be Evil Ed. And I thought that was cool because I thought it was like Little Red Riding Hood where the wolf is in the bed. And then he ends up turning into a wolf, right? And so I thought that was like
That's neat. Yeah,
how
I think
that
about that.
played out. Yeah.
My, how big your teeth are.
Yeah, like he has giant teeth and he has like the foolishly looking like hair on with like the grandma cap, you know what I mean? So I thought that was cool.
I also really appreciate that Tom Holland didn't have Peter Vincent go over to the house and Mrs. Brewster's dead. Because again, I
Yeah.
think that like a lesser filmmaker probably would have been like, we haven't had someone die in a while, so he'll walk into the house and you just see her like all like bloody and dead, and like maybe Ed standing over. I like the fact that she's working nights.
Yeah, she's like working nights. And so
it's just like a funny way to write her out of the movie.
yeah, and so they get into a scuffle, like they're fighting, and the werewolf pup, you know, like runs at well, it's just a wolf, like runs, and Peter Vincent is able to stake it and throw it over the balcony, right? Like, and so we see where the wolf falls to the ground, staked. And then we see all these cool transformations that not a lot of people bring up, but I think it's like one of the coolest.
Dude, it's amazing.
Yeah, like
I'm assuming for the time it was no one's done anything like that in that time period.
I think
because
like
it-
an American Werewolf, you know.
Yeah, that's
was
like the standard.
Yeah, that's like everyone talks about that, but
But as far as like again, the caliber of the makeup in this was pretty fantastic.
oh,
it was,
it's unbelievable.
And again, like it's one of those things. Like the argument can be made that like modern effects may or may not look better, but I would much prefer something like that
This-
where it's all practical.
I would take this in a
it's
heartbeat
so
over
cool
the
looking.
new
and
stuff.
are you talking about this transformation, which I thought was great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This transformation, like all the different transitions into like different forms, like he goes from like a wolf into like a wolf man back to like a teenage boy.
Like stuff like that. Like that's just
That's reverse. What do you call
it's
it?
amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just simple little things.
And like the foot, the bubbles on the foot, and the makeup where it looks. Oh, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a neat little effect at the beginning of the movie too, like when Jerry's in the mother's room and he like walks to the door, and it's
Yeah.
obviously like
That's
a
terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool looking. It's obviously like in the mirror. It's like I'm gonna say it's some kind of a playback. So like when he opens the door, it has to be like timed with what's on the screen, and I was like, that's neat. Like I do miss things like that.
Me too. It's just like clever ways to get around
Oh man.
filmmaking and stuff.
Poor Ed.
But yeah, that whole transition and transformation from like wolf to like wolf man back to like a teenage boy is just incredible. And I love the like the parallels too of like Little Red Riding Hood and like seeing the the fake grandmother in bed and like all that. So I thought that was really cool. But back
Bless you,
at
Becca.
the Dandridge house, Charlie is thrown into a room with a vamped out Amy, and he sees like she's starting to transform herself into what he hates the most at this point, a vampire. And I love when he sees her, we have that shot of Jerry just like walking down the stairs and Charlie screams, right? And he like looks up and he gives that like little smirk, like a little smile. Oh, so good. It's so good.
He's like, I'm evil.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah. So Peter Vincent heads back to the Dandridge house and breaks Charlie out of that room. And seeing Amy, Peter tells Charlie they have until dawn to possibly save her life. Like, if they are able to kill Jerry, they might be able to get her back to who they know, like normal Amy.
I like Peter's
non-vampire
logic
Amy.
too. He's like, so far everything's been the way it's been in the movies.
Yeah, I love that.
So
Like,
is that more insight to lore of vampires? Does that happen in other vampire movies?
other
where
vampire movies, like if you slay the main vampire,
Yeah.
you are like Lost Boys has that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there are
It's like Christmas lights.
yeah, it's like yeah, but
The vampire lore is such a weird thing because, like, depending on like what you're watching, it can be very different.
and
Like,
they change, like some take liberties with like certain rules and
well,
stuff.
some of them they should take liberties with and just
Yeah.
ignore them. Like, they can't walk over running water or something like that.
Yeah,
Like, if you
I
took
think,
all the lore and you smash it together, like,
there's not much vampires can do.
a perfect person we should have gotten maybe for this episode was Elle. She like knows everything to know about.
Did we have a vampire
vampires.
expert at the ready and we didn't bring her
Yeah,
in?
we do. We have
dropped
a
the ball there.
vampire
That's
true.
expert.
Right,
We
so-
didn't bring
well,
her
we
in.
do-
well,
I was
Zane
gonna-
was pretty good too.
Yeah,
Was past tense.
Was.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, he's still in the parking lot, by the way.
he's still maybe gasping for
All
air.
right, so if we do another vampire movie, can we get this person? Because I would
Yeah,
I would love to have a
absolutely.
vampire
Man,
expert.
she knows her stuff. Like
She does.
yeah, she's perfect.
We
for
don't know
that.
much of anything, honestly.
Yeah,
So.
like
But-
I watch a lot of vampire movies, but I don't know like the
facts.
all the lore, because every movie has like different lore. So
Yeah.
it's like we know the basics probably, but she could probably tell you even more stuff that
Yeah.
we wouldn't know. But yeah. So Vincent heads back and he is like he throws that idea out like, hey, everything's been working so far. We probably have a chance to save Amy if we kill Jerry, right? So, as they are running towards the stairs, boom, Billy pops out again, Billy Cole, and they end up shooting him, and he falls down the stairs, and they shoot him like a couple times, and then we got that Michael Myers like rise up from the thing,
Yeah.
and he's like walking up, and he knocks over Peter. But that's when Charlie decides, I'm going to stake him. So he grabs something and he stakes him through the heart. And that's when we see Billy Cole in his transformations, which is unbelievable. He basically...
Turns into like Nickelodeon Gak.
Yeah. Yeah, he basically is stopped. And he gets... where he starts turning into slime.
Yeah.
Like... just like melting, and so and he melts all the way down to like a skull, which we see like a couple skulls throughout the movie, which is kind of cool.
That's a great looking skull, though. It's kind of
Yeah.
like smiling all evil. It looks like
Yeah.
one of the Army of Darkness Deadite skulls.
It's so
Skeletons.
good. And the sand, I think that was like maybe
Budget cuts.
yeah. Yeah, they're like, we don't have enough slime. We're out of slime.
out of slime.
What do you got? We got sand.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
we got
but
lots
yeah.
of cocaine in the back. But
Now-
we're not gonna waste that.
He gives the greatest exasperated looks.
Yeah.
Like he's just so done with
He's
everyone.
such- yeah, he's such a
Oh, Peter?
Yes, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a Shakespearean actor, and like because he did like The Tempest and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and man, what a freaking amazing actor. But yeah. So after Billy melted into the good carpet, Peter and Charlie face off against Jerry, and the clocks ring. So Jerry is kind of freaked out because dawn is around the corner.
of time, Mr. Dandridge.
Yeah.
Look over your shoulder.
And so Jerry tries to make like a break for the basement, and they chase down after him because they are like, we can't let him get away. We're like so close, And so Peter ends up finding where Jerry is, and he starts to stake him, and he's like hammering the stake into him. Great looking. It sounds, and trust me, the visuals are perfect. It looks amazing. And so he's like trying to stake him. Meanwhile, Charlie's kind of fighting off the now vamped out Amy,
Is this where we are?
Yeah.
Is he stabbing the vampire, or is he stabbing the lock on the coffin?
It's like he chisels
to try
the
and
lock off.
He chiseled the lock off, and then he starts to like stake him.
I gotcha.
And he like hammers it a couple times, but I don't think he gets it deep enough in that it kills him.
When he sits up, that's like right at Dracula's in the grave.
So he gets a couple good hits in.
What a horrifying idea.
Yeah.
Stake somebody in the heart.
Yeah. So Jerry, stands up, and eventually they start to break the glass in the basement, and sunlight starts to come in, which is starting to trap Jerry from like really getting to them. Yeah, where he can move. And
which is just like a really fun sequence. Like having those little shafts of light coming through.
Yeah.
And it's like he's just kind of stepping around them.
Yeah, he's like trying to step around them, but at the same time.
They also make that basement is like 40 by 45. It's the biggest basement I've ever seen, considering the footprint of the house from the outside.
Ultimately, the sunlight is what does Jerry in. He gets evaporated. And
for the record, all those windows are painted black.
Yeah.
The one that's right next to his coffin has a blanket over it. It's the most important window.
Billy.
It's so vulnerable.
Billy.
Yeah, Billy was just like, I'm done today.
Now he's smashing the mirrors. I would assume you would want to keep the mirrors to help reflect the light.
Well, it does. It kind of like
makes it bounce off.
Okay.
Yeah, like more.
See,
it covers more, I guess, than it did.
See, watch this. That's where his coffin is.
Yeah.
Look at that little blanket behind him.
Right there.
Yeah, there's
so
a blanket,
Maybe
and
that was the first
Peter
thing
just
he was
rips it
worried
off. Yeah.
I think what happened was Billy ran out of paint, and he's like, Monday
I'm
morning.
gonna throw a blanket here.
I'm not gonna
I'll get this.
go to the store, spend $5, or
What's the worst that can happen if I put this off a couple
Yeah.
days? Boom, that's what could have
I
happened.
love how he's blasted away by sunlight.
It's
Yeah.
so cool.
It's so good.
Not thrown to safety, thrown to his death. I
Yeah.
like that.
But yeah, Peter and Charlie get the sunlight in by causing a bunch of property damage. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about that? Because Jerry just moved in, and you
Yeah.
could see he was trying to fix up the house.
Jerry's got money though. If he has
that's
all those
true.
antiques in there, he could replace a
That's
couple
true.
windows.
So yeah, so we get where the duo they end up killing Jerry and the creature from Ghostbusters. True story.
Mm-hmm.
And Amy is restored her humanity, and
Still underage.
yeah, and the three are like hugging it out. Then we get the final shot, which again, it's a final shot of the neighborhood back in its peaceful state, mirroring the opening shot of the movie, and it's literally filmed exactly the same, where it's the peaceful neighborhood, and then you hear the dialogue from the movie, like a horror movie, and the camera like goes again and into the Brewster household, like his room, Charlie's room.
No longer on the floor.
No longer on the floor. They move the relationship to the bed now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care
And-
about mom or what she has to say.
yeah. They're kissing.
Mom's working nights. She's
And
not
then-
around.
That's when the TV, like the movie, starts to fade out a little bit, and we get that Peter Vincent is back on TV. He actually gives a little shout out to Charlie.
When she said his name wrong, like he was just like, right, Bobby. He's like,
Right.
it's Charlie. He's kind of older
close
now.
enough, yeah. Right, Carly. He's like, not even close.
He's still like an actor.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Carly Bangster.
Yeah. Carly Bangster.
I'll take it.
Charlie, gets up, turns off the TV, and as he turns off the TV, he glances over because something catches his eye. Us, the audience, we see there's like two red eyes glaring into Charlie's window, but Charlie kind of like looks and he takes a closer look, and he's like, forget about it, and he hops back in bed with Amy, and but we, the audience, then hear that final, the evil is still out in the world. They maybe vanquished what was in their neighborhood, but there's still evil out in the world, and literally evil because we hear Evil Ed's laugh, So I thought that was
Those two eyes come back on.
Yeah.
And then like a neighborhood cat starts chasing them.
yeah,
We have to open ourselves up to a sequel. Essentially. Yes.
yeah,
And they did.
yeah.
Hey, respectful.
Yeah, they only got to make Fright Night 2, and then with the original cast. Then they did like a remake, which I know you don't like. Rory did not care for. I liked it. I love Anton Yelchin. So
yeah, like he's good in it.
Yeah.
I just think they didn't like focus on the strengths.
Right.
Like even like Jerry is like, you know, like in this one we were talking about before about how he's just kind of like, forget about me, Charlie, and I'll forget about you. And the remake, he's just like, hey kid, what are you looking at? You want me to come over there and punch you in the face? Like he's like antagonizing him.
He's really like aggressive.
Yeah, he's not hiding anything.
But
vampire, what you gonna do about it? I didn't think you were a vampire. Are you a vampire?
Jeez, Colin Farrell, back
Jeepers,
up.
you're a couple years away from greatness. Calm down.
Yeah. But yeah, he ends up, there was a remake, and then they had that weird straight to video movie where it was like a college professor, but it takes place in like Rome. Did you watch that?
I did. I don't remember it.
Yeah,
I just know that Lila from Dexter season 2 was in it.
Yeah, it was the worst
possible.
Yeah, it just it was like, like I think people could harp on the remake, but the remake compared to that was like, it's like Citizen
it was like
Kane.
It was weird. It was called Part 2, but if I remember correctly, it was like they were trying to remake it again in a different location.
Yeah, so the character now is like Jerry Dandridge, but college professor, a female, and we have Charlie Brewster, but he's like taking classes. I don't know. It's not good. Like,
it's for someone.
It's someone. Yeah. Like I don't like to harp on movies too much because I actually like. I like to joke about stuff that is like, oh, that's goofy or weird, but I don't want to like discredit like filmmakers and stuff too. But
that was kind of like one of the things we talked about initially, is that like when we talk about movies and we goof on them, it's not to be like vindictive or acting like it has no merit. Like we want to talk about the strengths of it, but then just kind of have fun and goof on it.
Right.
In terms
to get anything made is like a miracle in itself, and so like.
To get anything made is a miracle. To finish it and then get it out for people to see it is something even beyond a miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, it's just you give all like the people that made Fright Night 2, it's like you can make fun of it, but what have you done lately? And the thing is with that remake of Fright Night 2, Zane was actually supposed to talk about it. He had all these notes, and and I was gonna take the notes from his cold corpse, but
too much blood on it.
Too much blood.
I couldn't read it.
How much do you think it grossed?
What, the
Fright Night?
The original, like this one?
This one
that we talked about.
Grossed worldwide.
I don't know. I feel like it had to make at least maybe is 30 million too much?
I mean, we're talking like 1980s dollars.
Yeah.
This is before.
Well, this is
80s
no, I have
bucks.
to date. They opening weekend. I think it said 6.8 million.
Okay,
But gross domestic and international together. What do you think it made?
I'm gonna say about 130 million.
24.9 million to date.
Oh, I said 30.
That's
seems
unbelievably
low.
close.
But it's also 1980s.
I was gonna say it's 1980s dollars.
For inflation, what do we got?
I mean, for vampire bucks, that's pretty good.
For vampire bucks, that is pretty
And
good.
a little housekeeping. It was not Helen Hunt. Her name was Cheryl Lane, who played prostitute.
Oh, wow.
So
I
sorry.
She goes to
I was
conventions and
convinced.
I mean, honestly, that she looked just like Helen Hunt.
her, and I was like convinced when you said that, and then taking a closer look, I'm like, wait a second. But like, Girls Just Want to Have Fun came out like 2 years before that, and she looked really young in that movie. How?
Do you think that actress goes to conventions and they just have her listed as prostitute?
Yeah.
Well, she had one line. What was her line?
Is this 99 Oak?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
Bats her eyelashes and she's out of there.
Which is weird because she is, and I double checked, she isn't credited, but she has a line. And I thought if you have a line, if you speak on film, you're credited, aren't you?
I think
I thought you had to be.
No,
I thought the union said you had to be.
There's a rule in Hollywood: if you play prostitute number 1, then you don't have to be credited.
Yeah.
But wasn't who's the dude who played the new 007?
Daniel Craig.
He was in The Force Awakens, and he had a line, and he wasn't credited.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought there was a thing where if you
sometimes
speak on
like
film, you have to
can
be
make
credited.
a cameo without getting credit.
Man, talk about derailing an episode.
Yeah. No. Okay. So
Thanks, Vince.
Sorry, it's
overall,
what I'm here for.
I would say Fright Night. I love the directing. I love this movie. I think it's amazing. I love the acting, the directing, the way it looks, the way it's written. How about you guys?
My emoji is just a big old heart.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just love it, and I recommend it. If you haven't seen it, if you've listened to this and you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But if you have seen it a long time ago and you haven't seen it in a while, rewatch it because it really holds up.
It really does.
And what I really love about it, last thing I'll say about it, it's just such like a classically written story.
Yeah.
Like Good and Evil. It's just like a really well told, well paced, perfectly directed, perfectly acted, little like lightning in a bottle.
It does hold up. I actually watched this 3 times.
Did
And
you?
we're technically watching it a 4th time. Well, I'm thorough sometimes.
Nice.
It's, and I completely lost
How many
train of thought.
edibles did you take?
7. It's one of those movies where after going back and watching it, you can't look at it and say, okay, that scene right there, you could take that scene out. You don't need it. It was almost like every single scene in this movie had a purpose.
Absolutely. But yeah, how about your emojis for this movie?
I gave it a cross, a thumbs up, and a thing of sushi. Because
Ooh.
thumbs up, because it was good.
Yeah.
Cross, because obviously. And then I gave it a piece of sushi because sushi should be fresh. And however many years later, I think this movie is still fresh.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like that.
Is that okay?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave this a bat emoji for obvious reasons, a skull emoji.
Wait, why?
Because Jerry turns into a bat. And then I have a skull emoji because Billy gets reduced down to a skull. And then a giant big red heart emoji because I love this movie.
I give it a big heart.
Yeah.
And the statutory emoji.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's 18 with the...
Yeah, with like a line going through
Oh,
it.
no.
A hard line going through it.
But,
Come on, Jerry, be better than that.
yeah. But with that being said, do you guys have anything you would like to plug?
Well, there's, Raven View Productions. You can see it on the Facebook
And
Look it
YouTube.
up. Yeah, on the YouTubes.
Yep.
If you want to see some fun stuff we've worked on, there's a trailer on there for a movie we made, and
Yeah.
like to get the movie available to all of you out there, the film Burden of Beauty, at some point. But Mr. Leeson was
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
I like to stick EJ in everything that I do because I love EJ as a person, but I also think for all of you out there listening, he's a tremendous powerhouse of talent.
I love you, man.
Yeah.
Rory, do you know
You
anything
too.
about our email address?
I do. It's the Freakquel podcast at gmail.com.
Nice.
So if you'd like to send us any of your stupid questions we would never in a million years think to answer.
Give it again. What is it? Freakquels? How do you spell that?
It's FREAKQUEL podcast at gmail.com.
Okay, I like
Yeah.
it. EJ, don't you have like a Insta face?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, I will. I have. First, I want to plug Three Jacks.
oh,
Bar
that's
and
nice.
restaurant.
That's
Yeah.
nice of you to do.
As always, it's the burger bar. It's like one of the best cheeseburgers you could ever get. So
Much
first
better than
off,
2 Jacks.
better than
So
Two
much-
Jacks.
so much
It's
better than
than
one Jack.
Just Jack.
It's
yeah.
1 Jack better than 2 Jacks, and 2 Jacks better than 1 Jack.
But
Right.
4 Jacks
It's called
I'm worried
Just
about
Jack.
them.
That's too many Jacks.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Would you like to talk a little bit more about what that meant?
But yeah, I feel like that, and then if you want to check out Raven View on YouTube, you can watch the trailer for Burden of Beauty, a movie written and directed by my bud over there, Rory Colarossi.
We also have what is it? The Little Shop of Do's.
Oh, Little Shop of Hairdos. We're
Hairdos,
going to
yeah.
plug them because if you want your hair did, your nails did, that's the place to go.
That's the place to go.
Yeah,
That's in Clark Summit, and I
That
think
was in-
she has a Facebook page too. If
Yeah.
you want to go to Little Shop of Hairdos and check her out, which is named after. Wait, is that a horror movie?
Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
I don't know. It's more of like a musical.
Or is it a
I don't
comedy?
think it's, yeah,
Is it-
like a musical comedy.
What is there a horror comedy? Like I know Shaun of the Dead and things
Oh,
like that.
American
Is there-
Werewolf in London.
Wait, that's
Yeah.
a comedy?
Return of the. Oh my God.
It's more
so
of a
funny.
comedy than
Return of the
yeah.
Living Dead is
so
fantastic.
funny.
So can I throw that out there? I'd like to see that then.
Yeah.
American Werewolf in London. Let's do that one day.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
All right, boys. What you got? Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think I'm good.
Bye.